Okay, cool.
And we're live.
And we're live. What's going on, Truckers Delight? And we're back with another Skeleton Crew episode, which is actually kind of surprising because this here episode was pretty damn good. Like I was
It was a
blown.
good episode.
It was a good episode. I ripped my own pocket watching it, and that's not something I would normally
I
say.
don't know how you do that, how you did that, and I probably don't want to know how you did that. So
Hey, but you have pockets. Congrats.
I have
you have
pockets.
pockets, you
That's the
discovered it.
joke. That's the joke. You know what? Let's just roll that beautiful bean footage.
Baseball.
So that happened, and it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Well done on the writing. Well done, all of it. It's like I kind of wish the episode would have made me cry, but it's like it's not over yet because apparently this is a two-part episode. Have we had a Lower Decks two-part episode before?
No,
Like,
I don't think we have.
I've seen like climactic type episodes, but I haven't really seen like a two-parter, and not in one of those cliffhangers where we like they did when the captain got arrested. No, like an actual two-part episode.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah,
we've had that.
I don't believe we've had a next step to be continued before. So yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either, y'all. I wasn't ready. I cannot wait until next week now.
Hmm. Yeah.
So you wanna go ahead and give us
All right.
the recap?
All right. So here we are, the ninth episode of season 4 of Lower Decks, The Inner Fight. You join Tallinn, yay, Tallinn's back, Boimler and Mariner
Hmm.
on Perseoff 9, where they are helping to repair a power relay for a research station, where the researchers are studying the venomous tremble lizard. Uh, but then the lizards are able to chew through some wiring and attack the station, while Tallinn and Boimler and the research crew start to put on their anti-venom coverings. Mariner is her typical badass to the rescue, runs out there, leads all of the venomous tremble lizards away, and restores the fence, and comes back uh, only having one on her back and one of her shoes slightly damaged, but otherwise okay. Then we go to opening credits. We coming back. They're back on the ship where Tallinn and Boimler are comparing notes and saying, "Yeah, what is up with her? Ever since Ferenginar, she's been basically taking all the risks, trying to be the hero, trying to almost get herself killed." And at that moment, they're called to the conference room to meet with Captain Freeman and Ransom, uh, Dr. Tana, Shax, and of course Rutherford and Tendi, in which Freeman wants to know why is Mariner trying to get herself killed. The Cerritos is about to be sent on a new mission. They're worried about that the mysterious ship is going to go after ex-members of Starfleet that are outside of Federation space, so they were going to be sent to track down one of them. Is it Seven of Nine? No. Is it Beverly Crusher? No. Is it Thomas Riker? No. It's Nick Locarno from Next Generation episode The First Duty. But knowing that that may give Mariner more chances to put her life on the line, Freeman instead decides to send Mariner with Tallinn, Tendi, and Boimler on a side mission to Sherbal 5 to repair a relay station that has gone down. Something that should be low stakes, no problem, right? Right. So they go take the shuttle off to Serval 5. They're repairing the relay station. Everything's going fine, except they're being watched by Klingons. Not just any Klingons, but the Klingon ship from Wej Douge without the Klingon captain that we know and love from that episode. Just as they finish repairing the relay and go to leave, the Klingon bird of prey decloaks in front of them. Mariner takes control and starts to try to fire back. The shuttle is destroyed, but at the last second, Tendi is able to beam all four of them to the planet below. Once they arrive on Serval 5, a planet that is racked with energy storms, they see a Ferengi and Romulan fighting, and not just any Ferengi and Romulan, but the ones that are missing from the ships earlier in the season. Now, their fight is just for show, trying to lead the Klingon out. That is the Klingon commander that we know. And just as they get him in a trap, Mariner jumps in to the rescue to try to subdue all of them. And in doing so, ends up just getting everyone to run off. They take off. She takes off after the Ferengi and Romulan and end up finding others of the lost crews, the Orions, the Bynars, and Cardassians. Well, Cardassians do attack them. T'Lyn is able to knock them out. And then they come upon the rest at the relay station that is sending data to the orbiting satellite. Right. But I'm getting ahead of myself there. Back on the Cerritos, they arrive at New Axton, which is not as good as Old Axton. It may be newer, but it's not as charming. They go to arrive. This is a planet that's known for dealing with the seedy underbelly of the galaxy. And first, they are not allowed to come to the planet. It has a shield around it, and if they get in orbit, they may damage the thermosphere. So they are ordered to go stand by their second moon and wait for a shuttle that comes every 3 hours. Meanwhile, another ship comes up, and a bounty hunter in a giant mask is allowed to go right through, which Captain Freeman protests, but they're like, no, he's one of the regulars. So then after that shuttle takes them down, Freeman, Shax, and Rutherford are on the lookout for Nick Locarno. And they're in the capital city of New Axton, and they head to Muds, where it's no... Why is music playing?
What's
I
that,
don't hear
bro?
any music.
Hold on.
I don't hear music.
I don't hear music.
But the sound of your voice is music.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
That's
You can keep talking.
Yeah,
That's coming from
absolutely.
my computer. I don't know where that came from.
I mean, I heard like a siren earlier.
That was me.
Oh,
Well, it wasn't me. That
It
was.
wasn't an alarm or anything that went off. I just had music playing for some reason. Okay, sorry about that.
maybe it's a random ad.
So they go to Muds, in which they run into the bouncer, who tells them that they have a 2-hour wait for reservation. Oh, except for that bounty hunter guy who they just let right in, and some Edosians that are in because it's a special tonight for tripeds. So back on the planet, the crew accidentally let out to Mariner that they were trying to keep her from getting into danger. And so she fakes them out by going to sleep, and they fall asleep. She sneaks off and finds the Klingon, fights with him, and then when it starts to rain shards of glass, they go into cover, in which they have a moment to stop fighting and talk, in which she gets down to what has been bothering her, basically for the past 11 years. And that is the death of her friend from the Academy, Ensign Cito Jaxa, who appeared in The First Duty alongside Nick Locarno, and then the Lower Decks from season 7 of Next Generation. Once the storm has passed, they don't resume fighting. Instead, Mariner and the Klingon head off to find the rest of the aliens, and that's when they go to the relay station. They try to use diplomacy to stop the fighting between the Cardassians and the Romulans and the Bynars and the Orions. But it isn't until Tendi, the mistress of the Winter constellation, jumps in that the Orions finally back down. The Romulans reluctantly go along, and the Ferengi see the profit in it, in them attempting to use the station to get to send a uh, distress beacon and hopefully get saved. Back on New Axton, they finally got into Muds, where they're trying to find the information broker that can give them the information on the location of Nick Locarno, and they notice a man in the corner who knows their names and looks quite like someone that we'd seen way back in the original series. And they think that he's a puppet, and he says he won't give the information. So then Freeman picks him up and shakes him. It turns out, no, he's not a puppet. He's a real being, even though he is very puppet-like in his movements. And he is so upset that Starfleet would treat him this way that he has the information and he's going to sell it, but not to Starfleet. And that bounty hunter that got in ahead of them and walks up and drops a bag of money, gets the information, and leaves. At which point the bouncer then comes and kicks the Starfleet crew out of Muds, dismayed that they were unable to get the information they need, and seemingly being rebuffed by the people of New Axton at every turn simply because they are Starfleet.
That's racist.
Mm, not
I,
really, because being Starfleet is a choice.
I think it's like, is that like nationalist
No,
or because I don't think it's
there,
racist.
That's not racist.
there, there is a term for it, but it's not definitely not racist.
Organizationalist.
Yeah. Back on Chernobyl 5, they attempt to send a distress signal, but they realize it's not going to work. But they have another plan. The station is in a area surrounded by high cliffs. So as the message goes out, the Klingon bird of prey decloaks and comes down to destroy the relay station. And just as it okay, wait, hold on, I skipped something. Just as they're making a plan, Mariner gets suddenly beamed off planet.
Mm.
And the other aliens are concerned, thinking that she was part of all this, but the Klingon swears by her being a warrior and truthful, and of course the fellow Cerritos crew do that as well. So then, once the Klingon ships comes down to destroy the relay station, and the various aliens plus the Cerritos crew jump on top of the bird of prey, pry back some of the shielding, and drop inside and take the ship. But Mariner is not there. Back on New Axton, Rutherford is dismayed that they didn't get information, but Freeman laughs because it was all an act. The bounty hunter that was competing with them was actually Billups in disguise. And she knew that they weren't going to give them the information as Starfleet, so they sent in Billups as the bounty hunter in order to trick them. And they have the location of Nick Locarno. They head off into the outer reaches to find this area where he is holed up. They go up into space, and it is empty. They can't find him. They're shouting for him, but what they do find are the blueprints for the mysterious ship. We then go to the mysterious ship as it is flying, and Mariner wakes up on board in a minimalist room but very Starfleet design. Not knowing what happened or how she got there, she goes to the door, tries to pry it open, and it just has it, and then finally it opens, and there's her old friend, and from the Academy, Nick Locarno. To be continued. Sorry, I
Word.
missed it there. It's kind of hard
All
to keep it all.
all of this, everything started with with that shuttle accident in TNG.
Yep.
Everything.
Yep, yep, yep. What's funny? What's funny is the end of the episode. What happens is exactly what the whole episode was about them trying not to happen. Like Captain Freeman didn't want Mariner and this dude to get together, and that's exactly what happened by the end of the episode.
Yep.
And it's not like they weren't even trying. They weren't even trying to do it. I don't know. I don't know what we don't know yet what connection he has with her or why he has her. I guess we'll find that
Well,
out.
Nick was the head of Nova Squadron at the Academy with Cito as one of the fellow cadets. After the accident that caused the death of a fellow cadet, Locarno was kicked out of the academy. The rest of them were held back a year. So Cito, Wesley Crusher, and what's the other guy's name? Hold on.
I don't know.
I see
Yeah,
what
so he
happened.
probably knew he knew Mariner.
They were in the same class,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but after
Sorry, I got ads playing on Memory Alpha. That's what's playing in my headphones. Oh, sorry,
mm,
sorry about that.
Can't get
that's so
information
good.
for
We can't.
free.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, that was Carno, Crusher, Cito.
Because at first I thought it was something to do with because I think Mariner served on Deep Space Nine and she had someone that was killed while she was there, and it was something because of her or something that had something
No,
to do with her
no, the her boyfriend turned out to be a shape shifting alien that then ate her.
that ate her.
Yeah,
I didn't know shapeshifters could eat.
it was a different kind of shapeshifter. That it was like
Oh,
a
Depends on what they could, you know.
guy. We had that scene. They showed us what it was. So, all right,
oh,
they don't.
I thought someone else died or something. Okay,
No, it was her friend who was in love with this guy, and the guy turned out to be a monster. And yeah,
dang, sucks to be
Gene
her.
Hart had
I know a few
Gene
people who
His
that's
Hart had.
happened to.
Dang.
So yeah,
Okay, but all right, where are we? So yeah, William, you were saying how much you disliked this episode. Go ahead.
Are you like trying to like get me out of my shell right now? It's
of course
like
he is.
No,
This is
of course
Jason.
not.
Come
this is
on,
Jason.
this
This
is
is
what
Jason,
Jason does.
and he wants me to be Freddy right now. I
I
don't
just want you
have.
to stay sharp. Stay sharp, Will.
I am
No, I
sharp.
mean,
Like I am very sharp. Like I'm
right.
just because I'm not straight doesn't mean I'm not sharp. Like
Okay, Jason, what did you think of this
Wait.
episode?
First
right.
of all, me saying stay sharp implies that you are sharp
Yes, I am
and to
thank
stay.
you very very much. I loved this episode very very much. It was one of probably if I had top 5 in Lower Decks, this would hit that top 5. Like
For the
not
entire series or this season.
for the entire series, for the entire series,
Really?
because it's like, yeah, because it's like it's not one of those. I was just telling Keith this earlier. It's not one of those episodes where it's just like a haha feel good. Every once in a while we get what's it called um
A reference or an Easter egg?
a reference, or treasure something. But no, these were actually genuine connections that were thought through. Like they didn't just throw
Mm-hmm.
names in there just to throw it in there. They thought this through and contributed to character development, which I loved. I loved. Like, and at this point, not saying
Even the title.
even
Yep.
the title, like, cool. Like, because if you think about it, the title is not that different from the Inner Light,
Well,
because it
that's on purpose. Yeah, it's a riff
it's
off
on
of it.
purpose. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's yeah. It's just like Picard had you can call a lifetime crisis. Other people have existential crisis, while Mariner had an internal
Mhm.
crisis. Like so,
Right.
it's just
Well,
like
they did not release the title of this episode beforehand, and we've had that actually all season. But there was leaked the episode titles for episodes 1 through 8 at the
mhm.
beginning, but 9 and 10 were kept out. It
Oh yeah.
wasn't until the episode actually dropped that we got the title,
Hmm.
synopsis, and writer. Of course, we
Right.
should have known Mike McMahon was going to be the writer, but yeah, we knew nothing about this episode until it was available to watch.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
Well,
What were your
it's a big turn from. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, that was the question actually. Jason, your thoughts.
Oh, it was a big turn from I think last week's episode, which kind of seemed like a filler and it didn't carry any storylines really across. It didn't even
Yeah,
have, like we were
I
saying,
mean, they just
T'Lyn in
needed
it.
a
Didn't
minute.
have it. Spaceship. Yeah. Uh, no, I thought it was really good. So they start off, for one thing, Mariner. At first, it seems, oh my god, here comes this trope again, because Mariner's okay. She's flying off at the cuff again, kind of getting a little old, right? But they they totally make the episode sort of about that, or a lot of things in the episode about that, and bring a whole thing about her that we haven't even known at all into this
Mhm.
point. Not only that, the story that she told could have been some. It could easily be some random story about nothing that we don't know anything about. You know, somebody beat her up when she was a little girl or something like that. It could have been any story they made up, but they actually gave you something with some substance that we know about. Um, it's really strange that they had Cito and what's the dude's name?
Locarno,
Uh,
Nick
Ricardo
Locarno.
in the same episode because they are from the same episode.
Right.
I didn't really see a connection with them in this episode, but
Well, the connection
well,
is
for one thing,
Mariner.
right? I'm saying I didn't see a connection of why she was happened to be brought up in this particular episode with Ricardo. There was no real connection to that. It sort of happened to be that this was the episode she talked about it because she had nothing to do with him this whole episode. She wasn't aware about him. But I wonder did her mother see now? It makes more sense. Her mother was saying she doesn't want her around him, and I thought it was just because it's some random. Oh, he's a bad guy. I don't want any bad guys around her while she's acting this way. But she might actually know how much they know each other,
Yeah.
and it could be possible that he influenced her back in the day in some type of way.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I think Mariner is like 28, so she would have been 18. Let's see what they.
10 years later, she would have been at least 17.
Yeah, and 17 seems to be the earliest age you can
Right.
get into the academy.
Right. Which I can see 17-year-olds being in the academy.
Oh yeah, we had with that. We had Wesley trying to get in at 17,
Oh
and
yeah.
Picard got in at 17.
And Chekhov, he got out before he was 17.
Well, only in the new timeline, only in the Kelvin universe. In the
Really?
in the Prime universe, he was regular time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But
I'm
yeah,
not seeing anything here about how old she is, but we know.
we're probably gonna get a lot more now. Like I was kind of like really I'm not gonna lie to you. Um I hope that they do some sort of flashback moment to that Academy episode where we see Mariner in the background in like doing like the in between the subplot to that main plot so we can see like what happened, while all the stuff we thought in TNG was happening. But
Mhm.
then again, I'm just imagining stuff. Kind of like how they did Lion King 1.5. Like you have the subplot to the main plot of the original story. Like
I
Okay.
never saw that.
I haven't
I
seen it,
never
but
saw
I
that.
have seen X-Men 1.5, and I can understand. It
that
didn't work out.
counts.
Yeah.
That counts, sure. But yeah, it's just one of those episodes I really did enjoy. Keith, what were your thoughts on this episode? Do you think it really
Well,
did a job?
oh yes. Well, I got to tell you, and I mentioned this to you before we got on the air. When we were throwing out ideas at the beginning of the season, I mean, Jermaine hit it with knowing that they were stealing the ships, not destroying them. But we were like, I was thinking it was Badgie, maybe it's Section 31. Never in a million years would I have guessed Nick frickin' Locarno.
Right.
And not
Now,
to
and,
mention the
well, and of
technology.
course, you got to remember. All right, there we have to the elephant in the room of Nick Locarno. Nick Locarno in the first duty from Next Generation and in this episode is played by Robert Duncan McNeil,
That's
who
right.
would go
Hmm.
on to play Tom Paris on all 7 seasons of Voyager and in the first season of Lower Decks. We'll always have Tom Paris.
Yeah, as
Would be
tricky as
awesome.
we all
That's why.
accept.
The
Go ahead.
characters are exactly the same.
They're exactly the same.
Yes. Tom was drummed out of the academy. Nick was drummed out of the academy. Now, Nick wasn't the son of an admiral, Tom was, but it's the same basic personality, the same character traits, same guy
Well,
essentially.
when they cast Tom Paris, when they wrote Tom Paris, and when they cast Tom Paris, they literally wrote Tom Paris to be. They wanted a guy like Nick Ricardo. That was their whole
Yeah,
point.
Well, they
And
couldn't get the rights to him, I heard.
right. The author of the person who created Nick Locarno in that episode, I believe it's Naren Shankar.
Mhm.
Uh, yes, Naren Shankar wrote that episode with Ronald D. Moore. Naren owned the rights to the name Nick Locarno, and
Okay, so what was the problem?
if they wanted to produce a whole series with that character, they would have had to pay Naren for every episode to have the rights to use the name Nick Locarno.
right,
Versus this is only 2 episodes. That's nothing. Versus
An
7 seasons.
entire 7 seasons.
Yeah.
That's money. That's
Yes.
residuals.
Yes. And Ronald D. Moore was on the writing staff, so that wasn't a problem. It was Naren that wasn't. That was the problem. So they created a nuke. They took everything about Nick, including the actor, gave him a slightly different background and a different name.
Because as Trekkies, we kinda, like, accepted, because writer and money shindigs happen all the time.
Yeah.
We accepted Nick as Tom Paris. We even would even say, "That's actually Tom Paris." We accept him as Tom Paris, but now with this episode, it's like, "Oh,
Well,
okay."
it's been known to happen, and it's been used in both television and movies, and even here in Lower Decks, where you have the child of Commander going by a different name, so that
Mhm.
people don't realize they are the child of the Commander.
Yeah, yeah, that's valid. That's valid.
Did I freeze up there?
You did, but
yep.
we can still hear you.
That's
Okay,
why I
okay.
was saying it would be great if they could actually have Tom Paris in the same episode, like the season finale,
They bet
have Tom
I
Paris
I
in
would
there.
I would not put it past him. I
Right.
would not put it past them. And this is a season finale. The energy that they bring in season finales for Lower Decks is always pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
it looks
Keith
like
is
Keith
frozen. Oh, he
he's
doesn't not
frozen.
even.
Don't worry, he'll come back. He'll come back. But so like I'm surprised you haven't gone on any rants. You mean to tell me that you actually liked this episode, Jason?
Hmm. Let me think
I'm
about
really
that. It's gotta be.
surprised. I
It's gotta be
There's
something
gotta
I
be
did.
something.
I don't go on rants a lot, do I?
Yes, you
Maybe. Well,
do. Yes,
I
you are
almost
a
would have gone on a
baiter.
rant about
You are a
Mariner.
gaslighter.
I almost would have gone on a rant about Mariner just being so acting so
You
crazy at the
almost
beginning.
did. But
But
I said this to you, and I said this to you 2 weeks ago because I don't think I was able to make last week. I said this 2 weeks ago because everyone was complaining. Everyone and their mama was complaining that Mariner's character is exactly the same. And I said, I don't know. She's been putting herself in danger. She's been doing stuff a lot more lately. I think there's a reason we're
mm-hmm.
going to explore. And I was right. So
Yeah.
therefore, what can you nitpick about this episode? Because you ain't said nothing yet.
Um I'm not gonna nitpick nothing. I think this
you,
was a good episode.
you
I'd
actually
like to
think
see
this
where
was a
it's
good episode?
going. I'd like to I want to see where it's going, why Ricardo had to kidnap
Kidnap
everybody
Mariner.
and
Yeah,
put them on the planet.
right.
I'm wondering about the beacon, like why that planet had that beacon on
Well,
it. It-
well, speaking of the beacon, let's talk about this. Why did this planet setting, and it could be just a cheap way out, remind me A of Star
Star
Wars,
Wars, Star Wars, right? Absolutely.
and B, the third or fourth Predator film when they were all on that game reserve. Like
Yeah.
when they were just dropped in from the atmosphere and they didn't know how they got there, and now they're being hunted or they're hunting each other or something like that. But it was more so
Yep.
Star Wars for me because even on the other planet where the captain went to, it looked like Tatooine.
It looked like Tatooine. There was this. I noticed this ship that landed looked like a
It
land
looked like a
speeder. It looks like
speeder. Right.
it looks like a big giant one because I think a bunch of people
Right.
came out of it. The uh the tower that they had to talk to get permission to land. Those
Right.
guys look like uh they were from the commanders of the Empire. Even the way the buttons were in the background looked like it.
Even the way the buttons were in the background. Like
Yeah,
like
it
for
totally had a
for
Star Wars feel to it.
I mean, I kind of wish that like and I've seen Star Trek kind of do like a nod to other sci-fi franchises. Like the biggest nod I've seen was the going to the Xenomorphs, but that's more like a I don't know what they were doing with that. I remember seeing it was a Voyager episode, and Tuvok was mind melding with these people that could transport 40,000 light years away. And they had
Hmm.
emotions, and they wanted stories, and they wanted all the bad juju emotions, all that shit. Well, anyway, or at least something like that. It was something to that effect. Um, and what happened? What happened? What happened? Oh, so Tuvok mind melded with this guy and says, "Do you really want to know what it's like holding back? Do you really want to know?" So he mind melds with him, right? And we see
Hmm.
every horror flick from the 70s, 80s, and 90s pop up in those 5 seconds.
Yep.
And I swear to God, and I don't care if it's a Mandela effect because I have to go look for it now. I could have sworn growing up, I saw a Yautja, a predator in one of those shots. And
You can
which
always
told
go back and
me
look it up.
I can always go back and look it up, which told me, oh my God, they exist in this universe, you know? But so I kind of wish that they would like create some sort of not a parallel universe because we already got that, but like a different universe, very brief wormhole story where we can see like,
I don't know.
Star
Does
Wars because
Paramount
it's
own
just
Predator? Mm,
no,
probably not.
no,
Not.
no. Disney owns Alien now. No, yeah, yeah. Disney owns no, yeah, yeah. Disney owns Alien
I
now.
wouldn't put it
Yep.
past them.
Hey, like Disney got a lot of money, but I hope they never acquire Star Trek. But yeah, the
Oh,
whole
so
thing looked
which
like
Disney owns Alien, Predator, and Alien versus
Star
Predator.
Wars. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And then that's why a lot of stories have changed as of late. But I was really wondering like how far they could go. I mean, even in Picard, the final episode, they pulled a whole Death Star, which was freaking awesome. Like they literally took and you gotta mind you, the Enterprise is the size of two cruise liners. Like it's huge. The Enterprise
Hmm.
D. And so the fact
Yes.
that they flew into a cube, I said, look, I'm not saying that Star Wars didn't
How
win for
big is this
originality,
cube?
but how big is this cube that a because we're talking about an X-wing is smaller than a shuttlecraft.
And
It
why
can
is there
only
so
fit
much
one person.
space in there? Why is there so much
Right.
space inside there?
Right. That's what I'm trying to figure out. It's like I can understand the cube operating at 36% because the bitch has been waiting there for 20 years, rotting away. I get all of that. And that makes sense to me. But why is there that much space in there? Even though it's very complex, and kudos to Crusher for blasting her way through. But I don't know. I don't know. I think that's not necessarily a plot hole, but more like a genuine concern. It's just like, wait a minute. Is this like is the reason why there's so many holes is because it's like a bunch of cubes that form together to make one big cube? Is it like that?
And
Like
they just stuck bridges between them.
and they said put bridges between them. If they did that,
Yeah,
then I'm like, okay, and so therefore I'm gonna say it was that. Like, because that's the only
it's so
explanation I
big
got.
because somebody had an idea of flying a ship through it, like the Death
Who
Star, and
right.
that
It's just like
and sometimes writers just do shit. They think it's gonna be cool,
they
and you're
really
like,
think it's gonna
what
be
the
cool.
hell?
But I really went on a whole Star Wars tangent. But it's like as I was watching this episode, it's like it's so good. It didn't need to give you an explanation. If you're a Trekkie, what the name Cedo means. You know what
Right?
Nick means. It's just
Yep.
as soon as they said the name, it's like I already know what this is about. Like,
Yep.
um, and even then, they still managed to surprise us.
I
So
thought it was funny. They started name
yeah,
dropping very early that they were gonna get I mean, sorry, Thomas Riker,
yeah,
Beverly
Thomas
Crusher,
Riker, Beverly.
um,
Well, Beverly was
Nick Picard.
missing. Yeah, that's right. These are the people that were missing at the time because all of these people were this was before the Picard era. So at this time, Beverly is still raising her son,
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
she dropped out of Starfleet. These are all like
She
ex
dropped out of
Starfleet people.
Starfleet. And Seven, she is at this point, she's a
She's a
part of the she's a not a pirate, but like a
smuggler
vigilante.
or some shit. Yeah, she's a
Yeah,
vigilante.
she's a vigilante. And Thomas Riker, which I'm glad he's still alive because I thought he would have died at that Cardassian prison after the Dominion War. But no, he's alive and well apparently and missing. So that means
And
we
they set
could
it
see
off. They set it off like this is what the episode was going to be about, and we're going to see these people, you know.
right.
And
Right,
then
because they nodded at Thomas when we saw Boimler's transporter clone, like, and named him William.
oh yeah, yeah,
Even
yeah, yeah.
so I'm thinking, oh, we're about to. I was in low key. I was really hoping we would see Boimler on that little hamster ship. I was the other Boimler. Like what? Like is this some sort of Section
Hoping he's
31?
not dead.
Well, he's not
No, he's
dead. He's
dead.
not dead because I'm
You don't
not
think
gonna
he's dead?
lie. No, he's not dead. Because there's an after credit scene. There's an after credit scene where he never really died. They just played like he was dead, and he somehow got on a Defiant class ship and they woke him up and it was section
Oh
31.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
That did happen.
right. And he
But
said, "Are you
poor
sure?"
Boimler don't know.
I ain't gonna lie, he had that evil ass laugh in the end. I was like, "Why are you laughing like that? Like, why are you laughing like that? Like, I'm kind of scared. Like, actually, I don't know what you finna do. Like, what is all this repressed regression and stuff? Because now you're making me think of that you're finna turn into a whole Shinzon, like, which is what I thought what was gonna happen, but I guess not.
Wait. So uh, when they first told them, when Captain Freeman first told them, the people who were being targeted, right?
Mhm.
Um, they didn't. They act- who was the one that said who is Nick Ricardo? Who's that? Because they named three
Probably
people.
probably someone young on the ship that doesn't know.
So that wasn't Mariner that said that.
No, no, no. No, Mariner had to have known Nick. Like they had to have known each other at some point. Nick, here's the thing: Mariner knows everyone. She knows Riker. Like
Right.
she gets smuggled stuff from him. What's what the world?
You know what
She
kills me
served.
is that they always know all the stories of all the ships from from everything that happened in TNG and everything that happened in
Mhm.
every other Voyager DS9. She's always
Right.
like bringing it up. You mean that thing that happened in DS9?
Well, because it's like if you think about it, if you heard like I haven't served my country like that, but like if there were like crazy World War II stories or Vietnam stories or whatever classic American stories that traveled around to other ships, they're probably going to be talking, "Hey, did you hear about the USS Venture? They did this and they sunk like 3 German ships. Whoa." It's like, what is the
Yeah, yeah,
perspective
yeah.
of yeah, yeah, so what is the perspective of those people hearing those stories, you know? Like, and trying to be like them while not realizing that it sucked. But going on those missions, how many people they've lost, how much of their time they've lost, how many people died. Like, Cito died on that mission, and she was trying to do was get promoted. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was a serious like episode, like a real serious episode. You're like, wait, are they about to die? And then their friend, yeah, like you said, their friends had to just find out she died. They didn't even know where she went.
Yeah, they
They just
just I think in B canon or something as Keith would call it, she was transported out of there and sent to a Cardassian prison and they just destroyed her pod. But no, they got her and it's confirmed she's gone. Like, and I ain't gonna lie, that sucks because I ain't gonna lie, it's one of those episodes that I don't really cry, But as a grown man, I would cry over her because that she really did. She did that. Like
Okay, so it was
it's
go ahead. No.
no, because it's
Oh,
just one of
it, it
those.
was it was it was Tindy who was like, "Who?" when they said Nick Ricardo.
Oh, Tindy,
So it
Tindy.
wasn't Mary.
Well,
It
yeah,
was Tindy. She said
because
that.
Tindy, because what is Tindy, like the first Orion to join Starfleet?
Yeah,
Yeah, if she's the first
seems
Orion
like
to
it.
join Starfleet, there's no way she could know who Umceto is. Hell, there's no way Nog would even know. Like,
Now unless he got found some way to read Starfleet ex Starfleet missions,
I'm still
Starfleet
surprised
reports.
you haven't found anything to okay, so if that's the case, what did you like most about this episode, you feel?
Well, I like the way they webbed everything together with
Mhm,
Mariner and of course Cito, Ricardo. Uh, they they gave us a lot more of what was happening with the mysterious ship
mhm.
because last week I think they gave us a tiny piece. They said, "Oh, they're not being killed," but at least and now we know they what's happening as a result of that. We still don't know why, but we know as a result they're on this planet fighting each other to get
Right.
fighting each other for resources, and they're all pretty much enemies anyway. So they're gonna fight each other. Even if it was like plentiful, right? They're gonna
Well,
be fighting anyway. They
let's
would have set up
speculate.
camp.
Let's speculate. We know he didn't kill them. He somehow managed to destroy their ships or make it seem like he destroyed their ships when really they've been taken. So I don't know what pieces were left behind that were a bunch of rubble. What is Nick doing exactly? What purpose is this? It's been 11 years. What purposes does this serve?
Um, Sorry, I was looking at something. So, well, I was wondering to leapfrog off of that. I was wondering why he's taking why they want to look out for Beverly Crusher uh, and the other two, Thomas Riker and Seven of Nine. Like, why was he targeting those three, or is he the
They,
one that's targeting them?
or maybe it's just for the people that they don't know where they are,
Right.
that they not necessarily that he's targeting them.
But they just know he's ex Star. They're ex Starfleet, so we don't have the whereabouts of these three people.
Right.
I think that was just like a speculation list. Like, who could it be that's doing this, right?
Right.
Well, no, that's not who was doing it. It's who no, because they had no idea Nick was behind this.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was prepared or could guess that Nick would be behind. I would like, as Keith said, not in a million years. I'm not saying Nick is a forgotten character. No, Nick gave us Tom Paris, but it's like, dang, like, but I'm still stuck on the not necessarily the why. We'll figure out the why next episode. I want to know what is he doing? He didn't kill
Yeah.
them.
Mhm.
He he
And
left
why this
fake.
planet?
Why this planet? Why leave them alive?
Yeah.
Like, where did you get this ship from? What are you trying to do? Is this just are you having like another crisis where you hate Starfleet so much? But then again, he never attacked any Federation ships. So what is he doing?
Yeah. So a couple things are weird how they connected. They're just randomly connected. Like the fact that they were at that planet was sort of random. Tindy just brought up, "Hey, there's a relay. We can go that went down. We can go check that out." You know,
Mhm.
Well,
that had
because
no connection to the story that was
he
happening.
shut down the relay so that they wouldn't find out that there were all these alien races showing up on this planet.
But if he shut down the relay, didn't it happen a while ago? Don't you think?
Yes, he
When he
said
started
it's
putting
been
it
a
there,
while, and they just happened to be close enough to it that they could go fix it.
so nobody would have tried to fix that before then. A relay goes down, you aren't going to go find. I mean, that's
I am
It was
a,
low
I,
priority. Low priority.
I'm surprised the binaries didn't go in there and try to fix it.
The binaries? Why would they? They're
yeah.
not Starfleet.
I mean, you see how they talk? They talk at the speed of light. They can fix
No,
anything.
he's saying fix
The
the relay at
relay,
the
yeah.
on
Yeah,
the bottom
it
of
just
on the on the
no. You
land.
can't fit. No, it's the problem isn't in the relay station on the surface. It's in the satellite,
But
and
I thought they fixed it.
they
Oh,
did.
No, but
because
they
they fixed it now, and so now the relay will work. Okay.
Yes,
Okay. That makes sense.
yeah. The
Because
binars can't
but it
get
is
to it because
yes, that's right, because when they started there, they were fixing it, and then they
yeah,
left. They had done doing their job. Um, that's a weird thing. And it's always weird to me on how they crash landed. Oh, I guess so. I guess she transported where she wanted to go. So she transported them next to
to
the
the
relay
planet.
station, I guess,
Mhm.
Well,
or
it
close by
was
it.
just to the planet as best they could do. I mean, the ship was
Well, then
exploding.
that's if it's just to the
Yeah.
planet anywhere, it's really random for them to show up where they were with everybody else. I mean, that's
Yeah,
just. I mean,
what we don't know anything about the land masses on that planet. Maybe there's only one continent and everything else is water,
Probably.
or maybe that was
Like,
the one area that wasn't being racked by storms, and so
or
they could
maybe
transport.
or maybe it was just like transport us to the nearest energy source or
mm,
something like that. Or
she didn't
something
have a lot
with
of time to think about it.
Yep,
I mean, who does when a ship is exploding literally all around you?
yep.
I mean, how many times did Harry beam himself in and out of a ship that was exploding?
Only a couple.
Only a couple.
Yeah, only a couple. Keith, another thing that Jason and I were talking about is how aesthetically, how much this episode reminds us of Star Wars
Yeah, I get that.
because
Yeah,
the
New
other one
Axton, definitely. Yeah.
it looked like Tatooine. The other planet
Mm,
looked like Tatooine, and the other one looked like the one with the little bears. What's that planet called? Um,
Ewoks.
you know,
the forest moon of Endor.
yes, it looked like that. Even with the relay station and the where they were doing the fighting and where they teamed up, it looked like that.
Yeah,
Like I was like, oh, that's really cool. And
yeah. I
I
definitely got that vibe. Yeah,
oh yeah,
They
I
had that
like
ship
little
that looked like a speeder.
that was landing. Like it would look like a
Yeah,
speeder. Yeah.
yeah,
So I'm kind of hoping that like it's been like because who's to say that Star Wars didn't happen? It happened a long time ago in a far,
George
far
Lucas.
away galaxy. Right. Who's to say it didn't happen? And who's to say that I think they call on Star Wars, do they call them Terrans?
they
They're
call them
not human.
humans. They call
They're
them humans.
humans.
Humans. Yeah.
Do humans have an original planet in Star Wars? Because
No,
it ain't Earth.
they never refer to it.
Okay. So
They're just easier to make
But
as
there
far
is the one
for
connection that
production.
makes us believe that Star Wars does tie into us in that in episode one you had the aliens in the Senate who were ET's race,
we saw
and
ETs,
and then
yeah.
ET in the movie ET he recognized Yoda.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I like little
Wait,
nods like that.
In the movie
When the,
E.T., he recognized Yoda.
when they're trick or treating, ET's
Oh,
covered
okay,
in the sheet
I
to
got
look
you.
like Birdie. They pass a kid dressed like Yoda. And E.T. goes, "Oh, Yoda, Yoda."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
really good.
Spielberg and Lucas were friends. They could probably do shit like that.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, that's what it was. Was Spielberg threw the reference in there, and then Lucas returned the favor with Episode One.
And then they do like ship references. Like in the first contact Borg battle, you see the Millennium Falcon for a brief second.
Mm-hmm.
It's faded, but it's there. And then we saw R2D2 twice
Yep.
in JJ Abrams films. In the
In
Kevin
Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the alien ship has R2D2 on it
yeah.
because I've seen the model. It's at the Smithsonian Udvar Hazy Center,
Mhm.
and they have if you look at it exactly on the ship, there is a little R2D2 on it.
Mm.
Really,
Yeah,
that's
Mm.
cool.
yeah.
Does
There's
it play
also
music?
fighter
The
planes,
little
and
model.
yeah, it was a kit bash. They took a bunch of model kits and built the ship out of them. And that
I have a
included
question.
filters attachments.
I understand when you go at light speed, you have to go through like a current, like a space tunnel type stuff.
Yep.
So if light speed is light speed warp one for
Yes.
us,
Yes.
For Star Trek,
Yes,
yes.
warp one.
for Star Trek. So we can go faster than light speed, and we can go in any direction we want, with the exception of an ion storm or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Well,
so go ahead, Jason.
the Iron Storm, you're in a warp bubble, so you're not traveling through normal space at that point. Because technically, in normal space, you still can't go faster than the speed of light, or you can't even go the speed of light. You never. It would take you an infinite amount of energy to move something that fast.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so the idea is create a warp, a bubble, basically, that you're no longer in regular space. You're more like in a
So you're
subspace, or
subspace.
No, it's just something
not
completely.
exactly subspace. It's completely
I was
different.
gonna,
It's
I
a
was gonna
different,
say, I was kind of wondering why they never like warped into a planet by accident, or a meteor or something like that, or asteroids, something like that, like some sort of hard object where it would have made sense that they would have rocked right into it. But if they're in some sort of phased out, or they're in some sort of subspace bubble, then I guess that would make sense.
Yeah,
Or is it one of those things where you put those two things together and they're going right through it, like we like right, like what Einstein theorized,
like folding space.
yeah.
like folding space? Yeah, is it like
Well,
that?
No, it's not folding space. It's not folding space.
now, if
Yeah,
if before Star Trek, any reference to a warp drive in theory was folding space. It was warping space to
right.
you know, so you go from one point to another faster than
To
light.
faster than
And,
light, and
and,
and
and
almost
then
instant.
when Star Trek actually started going, they used the term warp, but then they used a different way of actually traveling than warp.
Mm.
Because as it was pointed out, in space, once you reach a certain velocity,
Mhm,
unless you run into something, there's nothing stopping you. There's nothing slowing you down. But with
mhm.
warp, there is, because of the fact you're not traveling through normal space. The warp bubble that is created takes you out of, yeah, basically takes you out of space in a way. And in the more recent Star Trek, in the Kelvin universe and like Prodigy, it showed it more of a tunnel effect.
Of a tunnel.
Yeah, if you turn off, yeah, if you turn off the warp, uh, your warp bubble, you'll stop instantly. It's just
Yeah.
because you were never moving through space, normal space at all. And then as far as folding space, that's different because that really doesn't take time
Hmm.
to
So
do
is
that.
this warp bubble protecting them from like time dilation or stuff? Because when you're
Absolutely. Yes.
because
Hmm.
it kind of because I'm really wondering, like, because I was told that if you were to move faster than the speed of light, yeah, you would be your young self. But if you were to swing around in 10 minutes at faster than the speed of light and you come back to Earth, it's been 75 years.
Yeah. So yeah, that the
Yeah, it
warp
depends on
bubble
how
deals
fast.
with the
Yeah,
time dilation, and Star Wars just hand waves that away. They don't even deal with time dilation.
They don't even deal with it. Because I think they go through like subspace tunnels, kind of similar to the Vaudouar, right? But
Kind
like
of,
kind of.
no, no,
but
no. Star Wars is different because they actually move. They're actually moving through space. That's why they have to do calculations over there. Well, I don't know. Maybe they don't want to end
because
up
they
in
go
a
They
they
do.
go
star.
to
They have to
hyperspace.
hyperspace,
Yeah,
they
they go
have
to
to chart a
hyperspace.
course.
Yeah,
It is hyperspace.
Because
It's like a
now
corridor.
we've seen what it looks like if they warp, not warp. Well, I guess you can consider it warp. If they light speed into nothing with not the Rise of Skywalker or the Last Jedi or whatever, but like it was the one where the lady w- warped or light speed or hypersped into those other Imperial ships,
Into the ship.
and then
Yeah,
yeah, and ripped them all in half. Like
oh, in the Last Jedi, yes.
yeah, and I
yeah.
was just
That's
like,
something they just
not.
made up.
Now, as much as made up
Oh,
as it is, it's kind of like I kind of like how Star Wars and Star Trek like borrow stuff from each other, because you got to remember, like Picard took the Enterprise and rammed it into Shinzon's ship, and
but
now
he didn't do it at warp though. That was
He
at
he
didn't
didn't
do
do
it
it.
at
protocol.
warp.
He didn't do it at warp, and then he took it. He took the Enterprise D and went into the Borg cube, like the
Yeah,
same way they did in the second Death Star.
yeah, because there were openings large enough for them to get
Yeah,
in.
we were
I mean,
just talking about.
if you could do that, why don't you? Why don't they just have their missiles just go at warp?
Well,
Just
I
make a
mean,
big
they were
missile
exploring.
and
They
at
they
warp.
were exploring that in Deep Space Nine. They were actually. They
And
were
in the
exploring,
Kelvin universe.
and in the Kelvin universe, they were exploring. Uh, rifles that could transport through walls and hit its target. They were exploring cloaked missiles. And there was a lot of stuff. But
Well,
there was
firstly, the
another.
Kelvin universe. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, this was in Deep Space Nine, but there was another
Oh,
thing because not there was another thing that Jason and I were talking about, and maybe Keith, you might confirm this, might not. I don't know. Maybe other strikers have talked about it. It's definitely a question I would have for the writer, whoever wrote the last episode of Picard. I think the reason why there was a tunnel in the first place in the Borg cube is because, and which also explains why this Borg cube is huge, is because it's a collection of all the Borg cubes that were left
Oh
and
yeah.
everything, and they put them together. Not it wasn't constructed. They literally just put them together and put bridges in between them, like Jason said.
Well,
Like
yeah. It was an amalgamation of Sector 001. I mean, not Sector. I mean,
Unimatrix
Unimatrix 01. Yeah.
yeah, just put it all together. Like, well, what's left? Like,
Right.
and
I mean,
then
as we saw it from the Queen herself, she was cannibalizing the rest
her,
of the Borg
yeah,
to survive.
yeah.
So why not the ships as well?
Why not ship the ships as well? Yeah. So, what news do we got, Keith?
Okay, well, let's see. Picard, no, Patrick Stewart. Oh, excuse me.
Kool-Aid.
Sir Patrick Stewart is continuing his book tour. He's back in England, and he did an interview for BBC Four Radio in which he said they asked him about passages in his book about the time in the early seasons of the Next Generation, in which he said he really wasn't suited to the task of the role. Like he was too pompous, he was too serious, he never smiled, and he said all the things that Picard needed to be, he wasn't. And he said even the fact that in season one, at one point he gathered all of the cast together for a meeting in which he yelled at them that they weren't being serious. And he said, "Those are my friends. How dare I yell at them like that?" And
Mm-hmm.
we were all having fun, but I wasn't having fun because I had the proverbial stick up his ass, as he sort of said. Now, it's been noted that in the early seasons that yes, Patrick Stewart was, and his acting was superb because he's a superb actor, but he wasn't.
It wasn't that pleased.
He was a Shakespearean actor through and through,
Mhm.
and in later seasons he relaxed,
Yeah.
and it comes through in the performance. And it's was it what's the name of the documentary? Chaos on the Bridge. What's it called? In which it talks about
Mm-hmm.
that and other issues that were going on behind the scenes of season one.
Mhm.
It's amazing that the Next
Well,
Generation made it past season one.
well, he didn't. Well, that was one of his things too. Is he didn't. He never expected it to go past. He wasn't going to take the show because
Mhm.
he didn't want to be a television actor. He wanted to be a Shakespearean actor. He
Right.
wanted to be on stage. But someone told him, take the show. You're gonna make a little more money, and the show's not gonna last longer than 6 months. It's not gonna last a whole season.
It was just a
It's
paycheck.
never, yeah.
Yeah.
They're never gonna be able to revive this thing from its glory of the
And
original series.
at that point, he
And
had done TV because he had done I, Claudius in Great Britain. He had done
Mm.
sci-fi because he was in Dune. He was Gurney Halleck in the David Lynch version of Dune.
mhm.
So this was him just trying something different,
And he
and
did
ended
LA
up
Story,
getting.
or was that
Yeah,
later?
that's later. But
Where do you
yeah, yeah.
summer?
Yep.
Where do you
Uh,
summer?
all right. Other news. So this episode, they released the images, and most of the images they released are from the first like 5 minutes, and they didn't release the title or the synopsis or the writer. We now know who the writer is, and most likely next week is going to be Mike McMahon again. We still don't know. We don't know the title or the synopsis for next week.
Mhm.
And Mike McGann was asked about it, and he said, "Look, we didn't when they released the episodes to reviewers, they
Mhm.
only released episodes 1 through 8.
Oh wow.
They kept back these last two. So even for the reviewers,
They wouldn't even show them
they didn't see them until today, episode 9 until today.
because someone would have leaked Nick's name. I promise you,
Yeah,
someone would have.
and he did not want that to happen. He said we really swung for the fences on this. We really went out there, and we did not want to risk that by letting it get out there that early. So, all right, let me see. What was the other news?
Not to mention, I wonder how much they paid to use Nick's name now.
Well, it's not that much. It would have been for a full season.
Yeah.
Uh, there was continued rumors about the possibility of there being Star Trek Legacy, but it's still kind of up
It's
in the
still in the
air.
air. It's still gonna be in
The
the air.
actors' strike continues. Jerry Ryan's been on the picket lines every day. Today she was on the picket lines with Will Wheaton and a couple other Star Trek luminaries. The latest deal was the CEOs of the streaming services came referencing rec- representing the AMPTP, in
Uh-huh.
which they gave them pretty much they offered the same deal the writers got, and the actors said no, that's not what we want. The writers, we negotiated a deal based partially on that they get a higher percentage if something produced for streaming networks does well, whereas the actors are saying no, we want 57 cents for every subscriber.
Ooh. Wait a minute. How does that work if there's so many actors? Like one
No, no,
cent per actor?
it goes through. I mean, it goes to the overall collective, and then it's divvied up.
Oh, so it's going towards that union as a
Right,
whole, and then
right.
it's divided up.
Yeah, but the idea is that the the subscriber numbers are decently static. They're not changing by huge amounts, so that they can calculate out 57 cents each. In you have this collective, and then you can pay the actors in at least the streaming productions a decent amount
That
based off of subscriptions.
that doesn't make
And
any sense because this is because if you're an actor, they're subscribing to a network. They're not subscribing to your show.
true, but some people subscribe to a network because of a specific show.
How will
Well,
they
yeah,
But
know?
that doesn't say that it's going to be the show. Then,
Like, because I can watch Star Trek on 1 hour, watch Blacklist the next, watch Lucifer the next, and watch Scandal the next.
yeah.
How can you determine where that 57 cents will go to?
Well, it's not that it's going to one specific show. It would go into the collective amount, and then when
I don't
they're
know.
Like
That
the
figuring
seems
out
actors,
how people get paid, it's coming out of that amount.
like the Actors Guild, right? Right? Or
I feel like they should just do it as many out of as many times a show is watched because they can count it. If
they can
Star Trek
count.
gets watched. Star Trek
Yep.
gets watched 1,000 times, then they should do a percentage of that, or put a, a money amount, 10 cents every time it's streamed, or something like that. I don't know why they don't do that. It makes
Or
more
maybe
sense because if
let's say that it's $15 a month. Let's say that. And over the course of the 30 days, I watched 7 different shows. That $15 would be divided between or on top of, airing costs and all that.
Yeah.
Would be divided between however it's divided down to the penny between those shows that I watched. Is that what we're saying?
no,
No.
between all the shows the network has, every actor on that streaming service
Right.
for all
Right.
the shows.
I get that, but that kind of like also adds to my confusion of if this is not cable network, this is a streaming service.
Well,
How
you got to
do they
remember,
know? Yeah, go ahead.
you got to differentiate the programming produced for the streaming service
Right.
with the programming licensed to the streaming service.
Okay.
So, original series, animated series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise are licensed to Paramount.
They're licensed. Yes.
They are producing Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, Prodigy for Paramount Plus. That's what, like, the things that bounce around, like when the movies went from Netflix to Paramount Plus to HBO Max back to Paramount Plus, those were licensed. So that's a set amount that was paid for it,
Mhm.
and that you're paying for the rights to have those movies for 6 months, 120 days, whichever.
Well, I guess one reason why they might have to do that is because you yourself aren't paying to watch every each episode that you watch. You yourself
Right.
are paying for the network. You're not paying for
We
a TV show. You're
we
paying
used to
for
do that a long time ago. Pay
a
per view.
network.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is
So
how
your
does
money
it
is
really
going. Your money isn't just because we're talking about how many times it's streamed, but your money isn't going towards your streaming at all. Your
right?
money is just
It's
going towards having a subscription. So they
there's a
want to get
hundred
paid
shows.
off of the
There's
subscription.
there's a hundred
That's
shows
the
on
money you
each of these
paid.
streaming platforms, and I
Hmm.
get that you want high numbers and high turnover. I get all of that, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, or I'm trying to ask, and maybe Keith explained it, and I totally missed it, but it kind of brings me to another question I have: how does a show get canceled? Like other than just
They don't.
running out of money to make it. Like how can you justify canceling a show when you are putting it on a platform that has 100 different shows? Doesn't that oversaturate the viewership? Doesn't that make
No,
Well,
sense?
no. One
no,
thing
no,
we have
no, no, no.
found by the
It's
existence of cable television is there is no such thing as oversaturating the viewership.
right.
And you could have,
So
when
oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say. I mean, you can count it.
Bless
Thank
Bless
you.
you. Um,
Thank
so now you can count it,
you.
and they do it. They cancel shows the same way they always cancel show by viewership.
you.
Yeah,
Okay.
or
How
production
many people
cost.
watch the show? How many
Or
people watch the show versus production costs?
yeah,
And that's it.
like
It's the
there
same.
have
It's the
been
same.
great shows that a lot of people watch, but they ended up canceling because it cost too much to make.
Yeah.
Mm,
And then
I mean,
there was that time when there was all these reality TV shows, and people. Well, there's still a lot, but when the reason why reality TV boomed is because they realized, hey, this is the lowest production cost that we have. We don't even need that many people to keep this show alive and pay for
right.
yeah,
Right.
there was one point in time where the most popular show on ABC in the United States was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Now, it
Mm,
may seem a
it. Right.
lot to possibly give away $1 million each episode. They didn't do it each episode. It only happened a few times, but they had it on several nights a week, and it took so little to pay for because I mean, the people bought tickets to go to the recording. They didn't pay for the contestants to be there. Just like I mean, other game shows, Jeopardy. They don't pay for your room. They don't pay for your travel. You have to pay for that to get there.
right.
But and if you win, you get paid.
So basically, if it's a low cost but high viewership, the longer the show lasts.
Yes,
Yes. Because
and
viewership equals dollars amounts.
yeah,
It's all. I
Through
and
mean, only
advertisers,
reason why
right?
through
yeah,
advertising. Yes.
and the streaming services the past 5 6 years have been willing to throw gobs of money at shows in order to build market share.
Mm,
You had Disney Plus was willing to spend however much money they needed to make Marvel TV shows, to make Star Wars TV shows.
yeah, that was
And
a lot.
now that they're beginning to reanalyze that, Marvel has actually changed the way it was making its TV shows because they were basically treating them like movies. And now they realize, no, we need a showrunner, we need different writer, we need a writer's room, we need to treat this like every other TV show because
Yeah,
the pacing was off. I
they were treating it like a movie. Yeah.
yeah, the VFX was not that great because they were overworking the VFX artists who have now unionized, so that definitely had to change because of that.
Mhm.
But yeah, so they Amazon was willing to would have a pilot. Netflix, you got an idea for a show? Okay, here you go. Produce one season. No pilot, just produce a season. And if it
Right. Just
works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's why Netflix was willing to cancel good shows after only 1 or 2 seasons
mm,
because they would just kind of throw the money at it, and then if they got more money than they needed, they spent it anyway because the principle of if they give you more money than you need, spend it because then if you don't, they'll give you less money the next year.
mhm.
So they spent it, and then they spent the same money the second year, and Netflix said, okay, the numbers are good, but are not good enough to keep going,
Mm,
especially when we can put money towards something new.
mhm. Well, I
Right.
say we covered a lot. Is there any other news?
Nothing I could find. Hold on, let me check Trek movie real quick. Uh, just a bunch of new comics out. There's a Halloween special, Star Trek Halloween. That's got 4 issues out now. And Mike McMahon gave another interview in which he said, what the stuff he said about this only being a 5 season series, that was him just being nervous and being scared that it's not going to get past 5 seasons. That wasn't them saying that it's only going to be 5 seasons.
What are you talking about? Lower decks?
Lower Decks, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
because
gave
that
an
five
interview a
seasons comes
couple
around
weeks
quick.
back. Yeah, he gave. They asked him about preparing for season 5, and the fact that they did not already order a season 6, because usually animated series are picked up 2 seasons at a time,
Mm-hmm.
and he he took that as himself being scared, but he's now saying the vibe he's getting from Paramount is that his fears are uh, unjustified.
Mm.
But all right, so yeah, next week is final episode of Lower Decks. We do not have a title, and then we go into a break until January, maybe for Discovery. Maybe by the 17th of January, 1701, we'll get Discovery season 5.
1701.
But, yeah.
1701.
Does 1701 fall on Thursday?
Uh,
God, I hope
let's
so.
see.
Let me look.
It did a couple years ago because Discovery did.
Well, if
No,
it
it's a
did a couple years
Wednesday.
ago,
So it'll be
it did a couple.
it'll be 2025 that it'll be a Thursday again, right?
No, because 24 is a leap year.
It's a leap year.
Oh, well
So
damn.
17th will be a Friday in 2025.
Well,
Get you right
okay. I guess this is just a hiccup in our Star Trek renaissance. How do y'all feel? Last question. How do y'all feel about this renaissance period that we're in? Do you see a future in Trek with all these shows ending the way they are? Or you said all right, you said yes. Well, why do you feel that?
Well, Kurtzman gave an interview at New York Comic Con and said that Starfleet Academy is moving along, chugging along, and it will
So
hopefully launch in either late 24 or early 25.
okay,
Picard is done,
it's done.
but and Discovery is done filming. It just hasn't aired. But they're saying he hinted that there may be more things coming, and not just the set. He hinted that stuff in the realm of the Section 31 movie that could still come, and of course there's the chance it's seeming darker, less and less a chance day by day, but there's still a chance that we get a fourth Kelvin movie. The actors are getting older. We've lost one of them now. But it could still happen.
Yeah, and Section 31 miniseries is still happening.
No, it'll be what they're calling a long trek, a made for TV movie. In essence,
So it's going to be a TV film.
well, it's a movie made for Paramount Plus. It won't go into theaters.
Right. No theaters. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like it'll be like a hour and 10 minutes.
No, it would be 87, anywhere from 87 minutes to 125 minutes.
So it's going to be the length of a movie.
Yeah, feature length.
Okay. I didn't know. Okay.
And there was an interview with Michelle Yeoh, in which she was promoting the what's it called? She did one of the Kenneth Branagh Poirot movies that's out now. What's it? A Haunting in Venice, and they asked her about Section 31. She made this movie happen. They were ready
What?
to shelve it. It was she wanted to make it.
Well, when you're best actress, you get to have a say.
Exactly, but she said that she wanted to finish the character story wasn't done, and
wasn't
she
done.
did not want to leave it hanging. So they're making this movie because she wanted it to happen.
Amen.
It's fantastic to hear.
Amen.
Nice to have some pull.
Okay. Hey,
All right, like and share. Leave your comments below. Any ideas of what you want us to do in 2 weeks when we don't have an episode to review? Share us with your friends.
Yeah, do tell.
Oh, sorry, you were talking to them, not us.
Well, talk.
All right, go ahead.
Well, we're talking to the one person that's watching right now. But
That'll be
yeah,
more viewers over time.
there'll be
Thank
more
you for
viewers over
watching.
time. See you guys. Live long and prosper.
See you
Great
guys.
episode. Bye.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not gonna ever say it on the internet. Yeah, never. yeah. I
Oh my God.
I was watching.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wait. There was a shadow of a church.
Okay. What?
William has
Okay,
questionable
I didn't
ideas
catch
about
that
what he
one.
puts.
I didn't
William
catch
has
that one.
questionable ideas about what he puts on the internet.
Oh, I remember that episode.
Uh-huh.
I remember that episode. Yeah.
Wait, what?
We put on an audio version of this podcast.